Shalom to the family. We're live. We are live once again on Maccabeestv. Shalom to the brothers and the sisters within the sound of my voice. We're just going to wait for a few people to get on. So while we're waiting to get on, as always, we're going to get the introduction out the way. Let's do it. Maccabeestv. Y'all already know. Let's go.
Restoring the kingdom, got the master keys. Fully armored kings on the front line. You know who to call when it's crunch time. All the one time, it's the Mac. Maccabees Alliance. It's the Mac. Maccabees Alliance. Maccabees. Restoring the kingdom, got the master keys. Fully armored kings on the front line. You know who to call when it's crunch time. All the one time, it's the Mac. Maccabees Alliance. It's the Mac. Maccabees Alliance. It's the Mac. AOC, what? LOI. I'm Israel, no division is the reason why. Apostles of New Jerusalem bringing the fruit. UKOIC, we banging out, bringing the truth. Maccabees Alliance. It's the Mac. Maccabees Alliance. It's the Mac. 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 It's the Mac.
Shout out to my brother Asha Sha'alo on introduction. Y'all already know. I am Israel, no division. Make sure y'all brothers and sisters, if y'all haven't already supported that brother, make sure you go to his website, I am Israel 12. Go to his website, I am Israel 12, and support that brother and support his album, man. Support Israelite music. I'm a big proponent of Israelite music. I want to shout out everybody that's on the live stream already. I see brothers and sisters already coming in. I want to shout y'all out today. Man, 2 weeks in a row here in New York, we got rained out from going to camp. It's crazy. You know, it's crazy. We had a real tough winter here in the Northeast. If you're not in the Northeast, then you wouldn't know. But in the Northeast, we had a lot of snow this winter. And now the spring is here. It's daggone raining every time. You know, but the work must go on. We must continue to do the Most High's work. So when we can't get out on the highways and the byways, we get out on the internet highways and the byways. All right, so I'm here. It's your brother priest Danyaahla, Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. I'm sitting here with Sister Malika Benjamin, my wife. Y'all already know her from Maccabeestv. So, you know, she and I, we're going to do a little topic today, man. I also got my captains on the phone, as y'all can see. I got Captain McGunn in the background. I got Captain Tahan in the background. I'm looking forward, hopefully, to having Elder Zahab and Elder Rakar joining the conversation. Today, we're going to talk about our children. That's what today's topic is about, our children. Y'all see the topic, train up a child. Have we failed our children? And when I say we, I'm not necessarily talking about us as Israelites. I'm just saying in general, as a people, have we failed our children? Because a lot of times we look at the youth and we're critical of the youth. And we want to find fault with the youth. But sometimes the way the youth are has a lot to do with us as adults, as parents, as elders, or whatever you might be. Sometimes children don't look up to their own parents, their own grandparents, their own uncles and aunts, but they look up to other people in the community. Have we as a people failed our children? That's what today's topic is going to be about. So once again, I want to thank brothers and sisters for coming on the phone, coming on this live stream today. We appreciate it. We hope everybody's having a blessed day. Like I said, it's a rainy, nasty day here in the Northeast. A little bit later, Lions of Israel and Ambassadors of Christ, AOC, we're going to get together and we're going to have a get together a little bit later, Most High's will, in New York. But we just get together right now since we can't go on the highways and the byways to talk to our people. So have we as a people failed our youth? That's the question. So many of y'all know, some of y'all don't know. I'm a father of a son that's going to be 18 years old this year. And pretty much my son is being pulled in two directions. One direction is that the school that he goes to, they're trying to push him to go to college, AKA to put him in lifelong debt for the rest of his life. All right. Now, there are people that are unlearned, like some of his family members on his mother's side, that's pushing him to go to college. Go to college, make something of yourself. That's exactly what he told me that they said. Go to college and make something of yourself. In other words, if you didn't go to college, in their minds, you haven't made nothing of yourself. Me, on the other hand, I'm telling my son, that's up to you. You don't have to go to college to make something of yourself. You just have to find something that you like to do and do it to the best of your ability and make something of yourself. A lot of our youth, and we all know this, feel as though if they're not a basketball player, if they're not a rapper, if they're not some type of comedian or actor or some type of entertainer of some sort, they haven't made it in life. That's their only out from getting out of the ghetto, is to bounce a daggone ball around or play baseball or football. You play football, you get knocked upside your head, and half the time, what's happening with a lot of these football players now? They're having all types of brain disorders when they get older. They're doing all types of studies on that. These dudes be getting knocked upside their head, man. Somebody coming and tackling you down when you got the ball and your head hitting the daggone floor, boom! And you got concussions. And you get another concussion and another one in your career. And it catches up with you later in life. But our children think that's the only way out. Why? Because we're a talented people. Whatever we put our minds to, whatever we get into, we always excel at it, no matter what it is. But there's other ways out of our condition besides just being a basketball player, a football player, a singer, a poet, an actor, a rapper. There's more to that. But a lot of times we fail our children because we don't give them the information or that they need. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about building a nation. How are you building a nation without having certain trades and certain occupations within the nation? How are you doing that? You can't build a nation without those stuff. All right? So, Sister Malika, you want to just come in real quick and say anything?
I think a lot of people think that we're forced. We're not forced to be self-sufficient. That's what we are. We are, we used to be. We used to be a self-sufficient people. We were builders. We created stuff. But now, I don't know. It's like we just get lazy. And we can't blame the children. I think, I mean, a part of it has to do with the system. A lot of things we're taking out of the schools. I remember when I was in school back in the Caribbean, there were mechanical classes in high school where the boys had a chance to choose whether they want to be a mechanic, electrician, and so on and so forth. They don't have that in schools here anymore, you know. But that's not to say that fathers can't teach their kids to be self-sufficient. That's the point I'm getting at. That's not to say that fathers can't teach their children how to be self-sufficient. I mean, it could be just basic stuff. If you're a dad and you have a child at home, a boy. Now I'm going to talk about the boys because we're always leaving the boys out. Okay. If you're a father of a son and you have a boy at home, a teenage boy, and that boy has a bicycle, you know, that's an opportunity to teach him about how to be a mechanic. He could start out with a bike. Growing up, and I'm a girl, growing up, my older brother was a mechanic. He still is. And he's also an electrician. Okay. And my older brother used to build bicycles from scratch. Okay. Among other things. And my older brother used to call me whenever he would be building, you know, working every day. I'd be sitting with him right in front of him. And he used to teach me the tools. Each of those tools, he would call me and I would have to sit there and learn each and every one of those tools that he's using to build those bikes. Okay. The wrench, the pliers, the screwdriver, all of those tools I had to learn because I'm sitting right there with him. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I'm sitting there learning with these things with him. And this was my older brothers. I've learned so many things from the men in my life, in my family growing up. I mean, I can build. I was telling my husband, I can go in my backyard right now. Well, maybe it's not going to be done today, but I can build a shed in my backyard with my hands. I get all the tools together. I can build that because I learned these things from my uncles and my grandfathers, my grandfather. I learned these things. I can build you a shed from scratch.
That's because the women didn't chase the men out the house.
And
they understood.
Right.
They understood to keep the men around to teach the children, especially the boys, but the girls learn too. The girls can learn too. A lot of things they can learn.
I mean,
and we're failing our children because we're not teaching our children anything. That's it.
Let me show you guys something. You see this right here? This is a toolbox. I've had this toolbox years ago, even before I met my husband. I've had this toolbox, all right? And I'm a girl, I'm a woman. I had one before this and someone stole it out of my vehicle. And I kept complaining that my toolbox was missing and someone actually got me that as a gift, all right? And I've had this for years and years and years. And as a woman, this is something some of you sisters need in your house. You can, keep it in your car because this toolbox here have come so many times in handy for me. Before I even met my husband, when I had car troubles on the side of the road, this helped me, okay? When I used to live alone, I had little stuff around the house that I need to do. This toolbox here helped me, okay? All these tools, all of these, vice grip, all these things. We have about 3 different hammers in the house.
Let's be honest. How many of our children actually know how to use these tools?
That's a good question.
Let's be honest. And maybe it's because a lot of us as adults, we wasn't forced. When I was coming up in school, they used to have the woodwork program in high school. They used to have the automotive program in high school, stuff like that. My school, where I came up, they wasn't pushing everybody to go to college because everybody wasn't college, material, period. You have to have somebody. And listen, nowadays, you make more money in trades than you do going to college, putting yourself in debt. You learn to be a mechanic. You learn to be a plumber, an electrician. You learn woodwork, masonry, so forth and so on. You could make way more money than somebody that's sitting in the daggone office pushing the daggone enter button on a computer. But we don't teach our children this. Like I said, I'm using my son as an example. His family on his mother's side tells him he got to go and make something of himself and by going to college. And now he's confused. Well, he's not really confused because he has me. But we fail our children in doing these things because we don't pass things down to our children. We're about to go into scriptures. We're just waiting for more brothers and sisters to come in. You can continue, Malcolm. Go ahead.
And let me say this. We don't have to own a home to teach our children these things. And we didn't have to go to school to teach. I mean, there's so many information out there. Like, if you're a man and you're in the home, or even if you're not in the home, if you have a son and you have visitation with your son, listen, we know so many people. Take your son to a mechanic shop. I'm sure you know a lot of people, at least one person that is a mechanic, okay? Make an appointment with that mechanic and ask them if you can bring your son so that your son can spend a few hours with that person learning how to use their hands to do something, learning how to do a trade, set up an appointment with somebody, with a mechanic person or electrician or something. Take your son to their job. I mean, I've seen this where men, listen, when I was growing up, I had uncles who did masonry, mason, they built house. I've seen the neighborhood men bring their son over and they would be there for hours with their son while their son is watching the houses being built, because they're trying to teach their sons that this is something that a man is supposed to do, build stuff. And my problem here is a lot. I'm addressing the sisters now. With a lot of these sisters who have sons, this is going to be a bit harsh, but a lot of you sisters are raising your son to be a little too effeminate, too girly, too soft. Okay, there's nothing wrong with a man, with a male being, you know, a little emotional sometimes. Not, you know, I mean, if you're home with your wife, whatever, that's different. But men are supposed to be masculine and tough, okay, and work with their hands and do manly stuff. I just don't like how sisters are raising their boys nowadays. These boys are coming up, they're too soft, they're not allowed to fall, they're not allowed to climb a tree and fall. I mean, you know, it's like they're boys.
They're sheltered.
You know, I don't like that. I'm talking about even women in the truth. These boys are being raised too soft. Boys are supposed to be tough. Listen, if y'all see the way that I grew up, and I'm a girl, I've seen how women raise their son now, and I'm like, I'm a girl, and I grew up way tougher. Take your kids outside, take them camping, take them up in the woods. I mean, I know some of y'all live in the city, but if you can put together a day in the entire summer and take your kids somewhere in the woods, somewhere up, somewhere, and teach your boys how to be men.
Can I say something real quick? You know what we've seen, and we've seen it over the years, and I had to examine myself because I was raised in the city. Let's keep it real. So I'm not going to exempt myself from this. I was raised in the city. I was raised without a father because my father died when I was young. I was raised by my mother, and then she died when I was young. So I didn't really have anybody to teach me the trades and different things that she's talking about. So when it really became obvious to me what I was lacking was what? The Feast of Tabernacles. When we go out to the Feast of Tabernacles and go out in the wood, then we find out in the woods, we find out what we really don't know as men. Let's be real. You got brothers that can't even put together a tent, right? And the instructions is it comes with the tent. And brothers can't put the tent together. Brothers can't build a fire. Brothers can't do nothing. But we have to be real with ourselves and realize our shortcomings, and we're passing this down to our children. That's why the other nations is ahead of us, because they teach their children how to do certain things, man. They don't have to go outside their community. The so-called Jews don't have to go outside their community. If they need a plumber, there's somebody in the community that's a plumber. If they need somebody to build something, there's somebody in the community that can build something. They need IT, somebody does IT. You know what I'm saying? If they need electricians, somebody does that. If they need a mechanic, somebody does that. They keep their money in the community. We're always talking about keeping the money circulating in our community, but nobody has no skills. We don't have no skills, and our children don't have no skills. We're telling our children to go to school. After you graduate from school, the norm is for you to go to college, go to 4 more years of school, and take up business administration in college or some other worthless course that after you get out of college, you're not even going to find a job in your field. And you know what I'm saying? You're going to wind up having to pay back all that money. So what we're talking about is in ancient times in Israel, when you go back and you read in the scriptures, and we're going to go into this in a minute. When you go back and you read in the scriptures, in Israel, the father had a trade, and 9 times out of 10, the trade was passed down to the sons. When you read about the scribes, the scribal thing was a family thing. If your father was a scribe, chances are you were going to be a scribe. That was going to be passed down to you, and you're going to pass the scribal thing down to your sons. When you read about the priests, you had Aaron. You had the sons of Aaron, and their sons going all the way down. They were all priests. When you read about our Lord Yahushua, the scriptures say he was a carpenter, right? Where did he get that from? He got that from his father. So you pass these things down to your children. And what happens is a lot of us, I ain't saying y'all, us, we're not passing these things down to our children. But then we're turning around and we're criticizing our children. You see what I'm saying? And it goes for the girls too. The mothers are not passing down nothing to their children. Half these females don't know how to cook. They don't know how to take care of a house. They don't know how to do nothing, man. They think coming into a marriage, all they have to do is offer their behind and their good looks, and that's it. So we're failing our children in a lot of different aspects. We're about to go into the scriptures. Just finish off what you're saying real quick before you come in. Captain McGunn, I know you on the line. Ak, you want to say anything real quick before we continue?
I'll just add a little bit basically. So basically, the brothers bringing out facts, man. Our kids, they in the famine of knowing how to do certain things because the parents is lacking to teach. You know, now I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of times our children have talents, but the parents don't teach them how to bring out the talent and use it. Right. So it's not, just like you said, they'll tell them go to school, you know what I'm saying, or go to get a job, 9 to 5, whatever, but won't work on their talent or brand their talent and show them how to be entrepreneurs and self-dependent rather than working for somebody else. So, you know, the scriptures talk about how you're supposed to raise your son, and the commandments is part of the commandments is raising your family to be able to survive and pass down certain things to their generations. So it's important that our people learn these things, you know, economics and how to build themselves and use their talents to the best of their potential.
All right.
Dan, let me say something. One thing that I used to coach baseball, and one thing that I found a lot with these parents is another sit their child. You know what I'm saying? And this is where we have problems with our parents. You know what I'm saying? They don't take time invest into their children. And this is what happens. What happens is you don't invest your time into your teachers is gonna invest their time into your children. And that's what happens. You know that old time is the devil's playground.
That's 100% true. And we see that on social media. That's 100% true what you said. We see that on social media. Idle mind is a devil's playground, and our children have idle minds. So what are they doing on social media? They're showing their behinds to the world. That's why we have World Star and everything that we see on it, and we complain about it and how ratchet it is and so forth and so on. But what are we really giving our children? We're not giving them anything. So let me just show y'all this real quick. Let's go to the scriptures real quick. Let's go to the scriptures real quick. We're going to come right back. I'm going to show y'all something because I said something before. So I just kind of wanted to show y'all this real quick. We're going to go to the book of Matthew chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 54 and 55, just to show y'all something. You know, we always have to go to the scriptures to show y'all what it is that we're talking about. It says, and when he was coming to his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished and said, whence hath this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? So the people said that Christ was the carpenter's son. His father, Joseph, was a carpenter, right? Now let's move over to Matthew chapter 6. We're going to start from verse 1. The point is in verse 3. And when he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him, and when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, from whence has this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary? So now they're letting you know that Yahushua took up the trade of his father, which was carpentry. So his father was a carpenter. He became a carpenter, which is symbolic. It goes into a whole nother thing because Christ said he would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. That all goes into a whole way deeper understanding. But Yahushua was a carpenter. Literally, that was his trade. You see what I'm saying? Paul was a tent maker, so forth and so on throughout the scriptures. People had trades and certain things that they were into that brought them income. Fishermen, right? Fishing is a big business. People like to eat fish. But somebody has to go out and actually catch those things. Everybody doesn't have to go to school. And why do we have to go to the other nations for everything we need when we can teach our children certain things? Or if you don't know it, you encourage them to get into programs that could cultivate that. You sit down, you talk to your children, because that's what's lost. And I'm going to bring you back in, Malika. That's what's lost right now. A lot of times we don't talk to our children. You talk to your children, you ask them what your interests are. What do you want to do? And they tell you what it is they want to do, and then you cultivate that. You don't necessarily have to have that skill set yourself, but you cultivate that in your children so that they can have something that they can carry themselves on within the future. to be able to sustain themselves and their families, so forth and so on. A lot of our children are lost because we push them in a direction that they don't want to go.
Teach them the things that we didn't get a chance to do. We force it up on our children. That's what we do.
Right, to live vicariously through them. Okay, you know what? You need to be the first person in our family that graduates from college. Why do they need to be? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If somebody wants to go and become a lawyer or a doctor or anything of that sort, then absolutely, that's the way to go. But if your ambition is not something like that, then why are you pushing your child in that direction? Why do they have to be the first one to graduate from college? You want your child to be able to go and take something with them that they can sustain themselves and their family. You want to bring something out? You can go ahead.
No, I was saying that even if a father didn't go to school to have, for a trade, personally, I believe that this is something that was built into our people, our men, to be self-sufficient. I remember growing up, I used to see the older male. They would take the wood and the board, and they would take nails and hammers, and they would build little tiny houses and things while they have their son there watching. And this is their way of teaching their son to use a tool, a hammer and a nail and tools. Just gather the material and teaching their son how to build things. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is how you're supposed to listen. Your child look to you to be whatever it is that they're supposed to be. Train up a child, right? Train up a child. So if daddy is not doing what he's supposed to do to train this boy, and again, my focus is on the boys, because these boys are just out there doing nothing, just because there's nobody there. There's no role model to teach them how to do anything. You go into these inner cities, and these boys are just on the corner. They're running around. They're sitting on the porch. They're just doing absolutely nothing, because where are the men? Where are the fathers? Even if you're a dad who's not living in the home, if your child, if you have visitation with your child, you should be doing something with your son. Your son needs you.
Right.
This is very important. Go to Home Depot and grab some tools and teach your child. Listen, there are programs. I know we don't know, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, there are programs. I'm not going to say they're in every state, but there are some programs. For example, in New York City has some programs that your young men and women, but I'm focused on young men right now, that they can go and learn trades.
Right. If you y'all are seeing, we're sharing the screen. Y'all are seeing, this is just an example in Brooklyn, right? This is like a job training program.
It's a job training program. A lot of these programs are free, or they are very cheap. Very cheap. They're from young adult, 18 to 25. If you have no direction and you just want to do something, there's so many things here that your young son can do. I'm sorry, I need to okay. We're talking about anything from administrative, positions to, let me go all the way down here. You CDL license. That's not the one I'm looking for. If you have a child who love to cook, there's culinary programs. This one right here, construction training program. Okay.
Big money.
Teach your child to be a builder.
Right.
When your child knows how to use their hand, when your sons know how to use their hand, they don't have to go clock in for Esau every day. Okay. They can be a contractor where people are literally calling them for work to come, for contracting them. So these are the things that your son should be doing, learning a trade, so that way they don't have to get up 9 to 5, go clock in for Esau. All right, this is the website I go on here, and they offer a lot of these services. All right, I hope I'm not going too fast, but I'm trying to find, it's a lot of them on here, okay? Environmental technician training, all right?
Your children, there's
Film,
one right there, film and
film and
television.
television
A lot of kids is
production
into that,
assistant.
you know what I'm saying? They do their music and stuff like that. They want to do music videos. They have ideas for web series, so forth and so on. They teach you for free
They could
how
be
to
behind the
edit,
scene.
how to record, how to edit, how to do different things. These are all different things that you can do. Find out, but you have to talk to your children and find out what it is they want to do. They offer GED programs,
Right.
you know.
If you have a child who didn't, you need, or even a young adult, a young man in his 20s, early 20s, if you didn't get your GED, there it is right there. And as I said, a lot of these programs are free. All right, free operation training. There you go. So if you guys want this website, it's in New York City. The website is let me see where it is. I'm sorry, give me a second. The website is, okay, no, but that's not where I went. It's called Brooklyn Community Board 14. Just type that into Google and this will pop right up. Brooklyn Community Board 14.
So you have masonry and facade restoration.
There you go.
That's big money. We read yesterday we did a class yesterday and we spoke about the Masons when it was time to rebuild the temple. The people that did the masonry for when it was time to rebuild the temple during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah. That's a great trade, lots of money. Mechanics never go out of style. If you have a car, there's always something wrong with somebody's car. That's big business.
And
lots of money. And not only do you have to work for somebody, you can work for yourself. If somebody knows you're good, you can work for yourself. Part-time in addition to working for a garage, whatever like that. There's a lot of things that and that's something that you could pass down to your children. If you don't know it, allow your son to go and learn that, and he could pass that down to his children, so forth and so on, because we need all these. That's how you build a nation. If you don't have these different offices and different people, if everybody's doing the same thing, like I heard one camp leader say something which is really true. He said in his camp, right, that you have a lot of sisters that have businesses and everybody's doing the same business in the school. Everybody's doing the same business. Everybody is selling butters and soaps. And he was like, what else is there? Make clothes for children. Make this for children. Do this, do that. Like, diversify yourself. That's how you build a nation. And we don't teach our children this. I'm not saying us necessarily in Israel, but our people don't teach our children these. And even some of us, when we come into this truth, we still have that old way of thinking where it is said that you need to go to school, you need to go to college, do this and do that. I've heard Israelites say that to their children. And I'm going to tell you something, man. A lot of times your children are not really into school like that. They're not. All you're going to do, man, is have them go to school for 4 years and wind up putting them in debt, thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in debt that they can never pay back. They're going to be 40 years old, still paying back a school loan, putting the thing in daggone deferment, man.
Dan, let me speak on that right there. I have two college graduates in my household. My two daughters are college graduates. School with $80,000 worth of debt. Wow. I mean, it's gonna take her forever to pay this off. And the jobs that you know she was that were available to her were menial jobs. 40,000. That's not really $1,000, to 50,000. That's not gonna help. That's enough own bills and maybe live a little bit. So that going to college is not all what it's cracked up to be.
Right. All you're gonna wind up having, let's be real, 9 times out of 10, you wind up having a $50,000 certificate on your wall, or $100,000, depending on how much you paid to go to school over the years. Whatever you are in debt after you leave, that's what that piece of paper is worth. You have a college degree and you spent $100,000 to go to school, you have a $100,000 certificate on your wall to show for it. Meanwhile, you working a 9 to 5, busting your behind, not in your field. I see Elder Zahab on the phone. You want to jump in real quick, Lord?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, funny enough, but that's an epidemic in the black community right now. A lot of people, they go to college, they rack up a lot of debt. I went to college, I have debt. I'm working on paying it down right now, but nobody's telling our youth that when you go to school, Choose something, take a subject or profession or field that's viable and relatable to common everyday life that's going to be still out there when you get out of school. A lot of our people, they going to school for some foolishness, man. You know what I'm saying? For subjects that when you get out of school, it's like that industry is done away with. So a lot of people, we got to understand first, if you want to go to school, know what you're going to school for. Is that industry a money-making industry? Like what the elder brought out, certain industries like construction and so on and so forth. Those industries will always be there. A lot of industries are going away because I don't know if our people understand this. They got something called automation that's going on. And what automation is where Esau's making robots or androids or whatever you want the proper name for them. But technology, AI, it's taking away a lot of jobs, man. Next thing you know, you won't have certain jobs available. It's already started on the low rung, on the menial job. There's not going to be a lot of cashiers left. It's going to be self-checkouts. It's not banks, they're going to be done away with in a minute. Maybe one main bank for a whole city. It's going to be nothing but kiosks. It's going to be nothing but ATMs. You understand? So if you want to go to school, think about what you're going to school for and choose a profession that you know is going to be there. Nothing is recession proof. Let's start with that. But understand, some industries are going to be around from the beginning of time in one shape or another. They're going to still be around. But if you just choose a profession on a whim, that's not going to work, man, because like what the elder said, you're going to be left with debt and you're going to be out of a job. And it's a bad combination, man, because Esau don't give a damn. Let me tell y'all something. That's the only thing you cannot write off is school debt. That thing stays with you forever until you die. So our people need to really understand this because like what the elder said, we don't want to saddle our children with that debt because when they get older, they not. See, that's the difference between us and Esau. With Esau, they got generational wealth. So when their children get older, they got money that was passed down from a prior generation. So the parents could be like, okay, where you going to school at? Oh, you want to go to Columbia? Oh, don't worry, I got you. So when they graduate from Columbia, they debt free. We don't have that in the black community for whatever reason. You understand? Would it be the curses or would it be our people, our parents was just not thinking forward. We don't have that in the community. So now when our children grow up, we got to either go to community school or we got to go to take out hella loans to go to a school. And when you go to school, if you don't have the proper guidance and discipline, you're just going to be partying 24/7. You're going to barely scrape by. When you graduate, you're going to graduate, like the elder said, with an expensive certificate. So our people just got to understand that, man. That's what I wanted to say.
And if I could just come in real quick to back you up, Elder Zahab, there are a couple of trades out here that are kind of recession proof. The problem is our people don't want to get into that. Like let's really go into it, right? One of the trades that's out here that's recession proof is being a mortician, because death is certain. You know what I'm saying? People die all the time in our community too. And you have one brother that I know, and you know him, and that's Brother Zah Parah, that goes around from camp to camp to camp burying people. But people die every day. You know what I'm saying? So we need somebody to get into that profession, and it's not. I mean, it's not for me. I ain't gonna lie. Like I don't like being around dead bodies. You know what I'm saying? So it's not for me. But we need Israelites to get into that, and you're gonna make money. You're gonna make money because people don't really want to get into that. We need people that we need doctors and midwives. Our sisters are still going to the hospital, having children in the hospital, laying down on their back when they're supposed to be squatting, right? We read in the book, we read it every Passover. What is it? Exodus, the 1st chapter, where the women of Israel, they sat on stools. Remember that? So we need our sisters to get into becoming midwives and other things. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have a college degree to be a midwife. And there's a lot of money in that. So like I said before, it's all about just talking to your children and finding out what it is they want to do and set them on the right path, man. Don't encourage them to put themselves in debt for the next 30, 40 years, man, of their life, trying to pay back a school loan, and they're not even working in their profession. And like Captain Tahan said, he got his 2 daughters, they're making $40,000 a year. Do you know how long it's going to take for them to pay back a college loan of $40,000 a year? You could barely live on $40,000 a year. Hopefully they have a partner or a spouse that's making some money to supplement what they're making so that they can survive. Because if you're from New York, if your daughters live in New York on $40,000 a year, they can forget it. You can forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So we're not really giving. That's why the scriptures say this real quick. Let's share the screen. Let's go back to this. Go back to the scriptures. Everything relates back to the scriptures. When you read the book of Proverbs, right, it says this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, and it's verse 22 right here. Proverbs 13, verse 22. This goes on a lot of levels right here. It says, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children. A lot of times when we see the word inheritance, we automatically assume that means that you die, you leave your children some money in your will, you leave them a house, you leave them a car or something like that. It's not just talking about that. It's not just talking about that. Leaving your children an inheritance goes deeper than that, but you give your children something that after you're on, they can continue on themselves with, because if you leave them some money, the money's going to run out after a while. The car is going to break down after a while. The house is going to break down and need repairs after a while. So that's not really leaving your children an inheritance, something they can latch onto and keep with them and do to sustain themselves and bring their family on and pass on to their children. That's really, like I said yesterday, when you get into the layers of the onion, that's really what the scriptures is talking about, man. And we as so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American people, this is something that we don't do. How many of us, including myself, are our children following in our footsteps? How many of us are doing something right now as parents? You know who you are. How many of us as parents right now are doing something that our children could take and they can carry on and do after we're gone? Most of us are working jobs we don't want to work. I know I am. And I know most of the brothers that's on the call with me in my camp, I know you are too. You're doing a job right now you don't want your children to do. And that goes for most of us. So what we have to do is we have to steer our children away from what it is that we do, away from the mistakes, and steer them in a direction where you're like, listen, man, what do you want to do? Sit down and talk to your children. Get to know them, especially when they get older. Find out what's going on with them. And steer them in the right direction, man, so that they can make a better way for themselves, so that we're not failing them. So they're not continuing what we have a saying in the hood called the endless cycle of poverty. Mommy was on welfare. Mommy passes away. No, grandma was on welfare. Grandma passes away in the projects. Mommy overtakes her apartment in the projects and she's on welfare in Section 8. Mommy passes away. Now daughter overtakes the projects apartment and she's on Section 8. She's going to tell you that this is my grandmother's apartment. We've been here for 50 years. There's nothing to be proud about that. Nothing. Because then you're going to pass that down to your children. So where do you end that endless cycle of poverty? That's what it means when you pass an inheritance down to your children. You give them something they can inherit and carry with them and pass on to their children for you to do better. Like the elder Zahab said, it's the perfect antidote. Generational wealth, man. We got to come back to having a ruling class mentality. And we as Israelites, we've lost that. We've lost that ruling class mentality. We say that we're better than the other nations, but the way that we carry ourselves and the principles that we have, we're not carrying ourselves that way. You say something?
I just wanted to show something real quick.
Go ahead.
On this screen right here, this one right here.
Okay, go ahead. We're on it. So what do you want to show?
No, not this. Okay, I want to go back to the job training program. I just wanted to list a few things that boys can do, because sometimes they don't know what they can do. Okay, now you have here air condition and refrigeration. That's a trade. There's all over the city or everywhere. There's buildings. There's that needs somebody to fix their air conditioning and refrigeration. Auto mechanic, boiler maintenance.
So there you have something: air conditioning, refrigeration for the summer and the spring, boiler maintenance for the fall and the winter.
Building maintenance. See, when we talk about let's go back to mechanic. When we talk about mechanic, right? fixing cars is not the only type of mechanic. Where I work in a building and we have mechanics there, and they're not fixing cars. We don't fix car where I work. There's mechanical thing going on in the building,
Right.
mechanical engineering,
Yeah.
that type of mechanic where they come in and work on stuff in the building. That's the type of mechanic. So being an auto mechanic is totally different from that type of mechanic. So, you know, your kid get to choose what type of mechanic they want to be.
There's a brother in Israel that's an elevator mechanic.
Right.
Because the elevators are always breaking down. Y'all see when you get on the elevator in the building, they have that log there that tells you when's the last time the elevator was inspected, so forth and so on. That's a trade, and there's big money in that. And really and truly, you go and inspect the elevator. That's like a quick 5-10 minute job. You're done making big money, man.
There's carpentry, okay, solar electrical installation. There's plumbing. All right. Plumbing is big business,
Huge.
guys. Every house and building has plumbing in there. If you're a plumber, you're making a lot of money. Okay. Welding and so on and so forth. I have a nephew in Canada. He just finished high school, and his dad, you know, obviously we're from the Caribbean. So we kind of, you know, that thing, that trade mindset is passed down. So it was passed down from his dad to him. And his dad, you know, is into welding and stuff like that. And so he has passed that down to his son. So his daddy made sure that his son, my nephew, goes to school and learn how to do welding. Well, of course, he was given a choice. He was given quite a few different choices, and he chose welding. And that's what he's doing right now. He's a welder. Okay. So, and he's a young man. He's about 20 years old. And that's what he does. So you can... Your sons could be doing these things. It's all about money making long term, not just some quick thing that you see on TV and you know, flashy stuff. And your son just want to be a rapper and a singer. You know, that doesn't last. That doesn't last. These are the things that last. If you have young men that are growing up, they're going to be having children and wives. They need, you know, something to sustain their family. This is the type of thing that we should be teaching our young boys to
like
do.
I said before, this is what Israel did in the past. If we bring it back to Israel, this is what Israel did. When you read about the scribes, the scribal thing was a family thing. The priestly thing was a family thing. The carpentry thing was a mason thing, was a family thing. It was passed down from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's what we lost. You know, when we was coming up as young people, you hear it all the time, man. You know, you would see and hear that, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to do what my father did, whatever like that. You don't hear that no more.
Mm-mm.
You know why you don't hear that no more? Because the majority of us are doing jobs that we don't want to do, because our parents didn't guide us in the right direction. They went along with that okie doke about us having to go to college and get a degree. And where did it get us? I went to college. Where did it get me? I'm doing a job right now I don't like, trying to get the hell out of it. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, going back to what I said before, because we have to make everything relevant. You find out where your shortcomings on doing certain things, like when we do tabernacle. That's why I was telling brothers in my camp, but we need to do more than just one camping trip a year. We need to do more than that. We need to get out into nature and get out there and realize the things that we can't do and learn to do them, so that we can pass these things down to our children.
We need to
as
bring
men.
our son to workshops, different
Yeah,
workshops.
absolutely.
That's what they are out there. You just have to find them. There are workshops out there, free workshop, summer workshop, you know, where they set up these things in the summertime. These things are out there. You guys have to find them and put your boys in these things, okay? Especially in the summertime when, you know, they're out of school. Your boy should not be out there running the street, you know, during the summertime. Yeah, they're having fun, but they need to do something constructive while they're out there.
Hey, Sister Dan, can I say something too?
Yeah, go ahead,
You know what? You know what's another threat on the opposite side of the scale? If our children not running the streets, they in the house playing them goddamn video games. That's a major threat, because my son is caught up in that video game cycle right now, and it's hard to break it. It's like an addiction like no other. I'm telling you. You understand? So I agree with you when it comes to finding workshops and things, because what the scriptures talk about, idle hands, man. So I got to find something for him to do, because he's addicted to them damn video games. And the thing about it is, when he's playing online, I tell him all the time, I said, you're not playing with kids your age. You're playing with grown men, especially if you got Xbox or PlayStation and you go on live. You playing with all types of grown men who ain't got nothing better to do but relive their childhood by playing video games. And then you got racist crackers on them comment boards and them live, them Xbox lives and things. Cause he done told me. You understand? So I hold on one second. I just want to say that that's another thing in Israel that's big. Our children with these damn video games, man. It's a serious addiction. And as a father, I'm going through it right now with my son. I gotta literally handcuff him and carry him. And it gets to a point where it's hard bringing your son with you every goddamn where, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You want him to have his own life, develop his own personality, get his own friends, live his own life. But it's hard when you see him going down the road and of being addicted to that thing, because nothing good could comes out of that. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, brother, one brother said, video games, you got the mark of the beast.
Brother, if that's the case, then my son is going down. Huh? I know you jest, and I know that's not the mark of the beast, but in essence, if that is, my son going down. And it's not only my 12-year-old son. It's 40, 50-year-old men going down with that.
My son too, it's everybody.
Now, you have grown men. Hey, let me tell y'all something real quick, man. Did y'all know recently in the news that the Supreme Court overturned the law against sports gambling and betting, right? So now it's a state's issue, which means that every state could pass their own law. And what's going to happen is this, man. You're going to see a lot of these little bet gambling shops pop up all over the place, as usual, in the ghetto, next to the check cashing. You understand what I'm saying? Next to the abortion clinic, next to such and such, and right down the street from the liquor store. So on top of the children, or the grown children, I'm going to say that, the grown children addiction to video games, now you could bet on the goddamn Madden 2K Live. You ain't got no money as it is. Now you're going to bet because gambling is going to be legal. So that's another perfect storm that Esau's whipping up for our community.
Go ahead, Captain Son. Son, you want to say something?
Yeah, that goes into what I was saying earlier, that the parents want everything to babysit except themselves. You know what I'm saying? They turn on the video game, or they turn on the iPad, or they turn on the computer instead of spending time with them, because they too busy in their own messed up lives. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the problems we have. And what I did when with my children growing up is I spent time, I invest time with them. I made it, fun for us to be together. You know what I'm saying? And you get your children become more grounded that way. You know what I'm saying? If they're into those video games, a lot of these video games is teaching them how to, war, how to kill,
right?
How to be those Columbine shooters. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these video games. Now, they actually programming them into that MK Ultra, scenario.
I agree with you, but now here's another question to throw out there. What about the parents who working, man? They don't have the luxury of spending the time with their children. Daddy got to work over here. Daddy not in the house with mom because daddy ain't with mommy no more. You dig? What about the extended families? And then the mother got to work. They got a term for those kids in the 90s. They call them latchkey kids. Dan, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, these are group home. These are kids. They're not in a group home, but they latchkey. They got to raise themselves. They got a key around their neck, and that key gets them into their house. And they got to find something to do until the mom come home from work. So it's not as easy as to say, well, you know what? They need to be with the parents more. Sometimes Esau got the system where you got to work 2-3 jobs just to stay alive. And what are you going to do with the child if you can't afford for daycare? Or if the child is older, like my son, you don't have daycare. And you can't keep calling family, oh, can he stay with you? Can he stay with you? Then he becomes a latchkey. And he got to take care of himself, dress himself. And that's why these kids come out here looking like they do. Looking like, yo, who the hell is feeding you? Who the hell is dressing you? Who the hell is teaching you? Nobody. He's teaching himself because the parents are not there because they got to work. So it's not anything as willful neglect, but just it's a causal thing. That's just how it happened because of whatever reason.
One second.
Well, I can say this, right? And now I'm referring to us that are in the truth, right? We're supposed to live like family. That is what we're supposed to be doing here. I mean, not saying it might not be happening all over, but that's the goal. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Growing up, when you have parents that work and they're busy and they might have a young child in the home, a young boy or girl, whatever, and they have extended families or people who actually care. I remember kids used to go to the other family for the summertime, and they stay with that family for the summer, and that family might have something for that kid to do, while the parents are working for the summer. Like, there's so many, it's not just black and white. There's so many things that we can do among ourselves. We can be each other's support. We don't have to be strangers to one another. If you have a son or a daughter and you have to work, and you have a sister or a brother over here or a couple over here who might not be so busy or whatever it is, maybe the wife is stay at home, whatever, come together. Maybe send your child over here and arrange some type of summer program or something that your kid can go for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, while we as family come together and help and make sure that that boy has something to do. It doesn't have to be where everyone is so private and secret and nobody's asking each other for help. We can reach out and help each other. Right. So you don't have to be over there with your child and you don't know what to do with him and you don't know what to put him because you have to work. Reach out to somebody else. Right. You know what I mean?
Salakias. Sis, what you're saying is so true. But one of the things that we have to stop being afraid of is another person disciplining our child. You know what I'm saying? We have to be a community disciplining our child. We're not talking about, beating a child or whatever. But when a child needs discipline outside of the house, I know when I grew up, if an elder saw me, they were going to tell me something. And I was afraid to be seen by an elder doing anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because my parents, they allowed the community to have a certain amount of discipline over me. You know what I'm saying? And I think we need to get back to that too.
All right, so let's switch topics real quick, and then we're gonna end this. Let's go to the book of Titus chapter 2, because we spoke about the boys. We got to speak about the girls too, because that's another problem, right? So this is Titus chapter 2. I'm going to start from verse 1. We get right down to the point. But speak thou these things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, and in patience. Right? We spoke about all these things already. And the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, meaning to be set apart, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, which is the commandments, and that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands and to love their children. So the same way that we're talking about what the boys are lacking, the girls are lacking the same thing. Because these mothers want to be friends with their daughters. They want to dress like their daughters. They're 50 years old, want to attract young men. So you see a 50-year-old woman on Instagram in her daggone bikini or whatever like that. They're not teaching these young women how to do that. And these young girls grow up and watch their mother go from man to man to man to man to man to man. So as mothers, a lot of these women are failing our children as well. They're failing our children as well. They're not giving our women, the young girls, anything to grow up to aspire really to be, to better themselves. You know what I'm saying? You want to speak on that?
I have so many things to say about that. A lot of our women don't know how to be women. They don't know how to be mothers. They don't know how to be sisters. They don't know how to be a family to the community. And I'm talking about our community as our own people. They just don't know how to be.
They don't know how to be effeminate.
They never had any example of a mother in the home, because that mom never had any example. And it's just a generational
thing that's passed down.
That's passed down.
When you have a generation of young women that grown up, they can't even cook.
That's sad.
They can't even cook. You see what I'm saying? Everything is this instant. You know what I'm saying? They go to the store, they buy some daggone string beans in a can, this in a can, that in a can, this in a can, that in a can. People don't know that food in a can was really created back in the days for war. That was something that you have that was preserved. If you was out at war, whatever like that, that's how you ate your food. It wasn't meant to be consumed every day. You eat all these foods with these preservatives and stuff, but these young girls can't cook, man. They know how to throw something in the daggone microwave or buy some daggone fish sticks or buy some daggone pre-fried chicken from a supermarket and throw it in the daggone microwave and feed it to their children, and then wonder why their children have diabetes and high blood pressure and all the illnesses that we as adults have. And this is getting right back into the health thing. But you're wondering why your children have all these daggone illnesses. What is juvenile diabetes? Juvenile diabetes is a lot of times triggered by the mother that doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know what to do. So she's going out to the store and buying all this pre-made stuff, feeding it to the child. Next thing you know, the child is coming down with daggone diabetes and you know what I'm saying, and high blood pressure and all this stuff like that. For what? They've lost that art. Why? Because it's not being passed down from the grandmothers to the mothers to the children. It's not. The same way the fathers are not passing down the trades to the sons. So the sons is out here on the corners being niggers, thinking the only way out the ghetto is to be a daggone rapper or to be a daggone a gangster. You could go rob your own people or sell drugs. That's the only way out the community. It's the same way the daughters think the only way out the black community is to be a daggone stripper. Have a big behind, take lots of pictures and post them on Instagram, and hopefully you'll get a baller and you find your way out the hood. And then once the baller gets you, you realize that you don't know how to take care of a household. You don't know how to be sanitary. You don't know how to clean. You don't know how to cook. You don't know nothing. And then he push you to the curb for the next female. So we fail our children in that respect. You wanted to say something?
You know, listen, I always say this. Anything Becky can do, I can do that shit better. Excuse my language. Anything Becky can do, our woman can do it. Okay? Becky is out there doing a lot of stuff. Becky is out there being creators of stuff. Why is it that black women are not doing these things? Okay? I mean, there's so many. If you go online, you see so many white women creating things and coming up with things and being, you know, just doing stuff for their family. Our woman is out here. We're just not doing anything. Why is that? We're too distracted and we're too lazy. I mean, I'm talking about just talking to our people about just a simple thing as buying some grapes with seeds, and they tell you, well, I don't have time to take the seeds out, which is why I prefer the seedless grapes. I don't have time to take the seeds out the orange, so I like to just buy a box of oranges or buy the seedless orange. So a lot of it is just laziness. That's what I think. It's just laziness. Our people don't want to use their hands and do things. They just want the easy thing that comes along. Nobody wants to use their hands and do anything. And that's why we are #1 in every illness that is plaguing the community. We're #1 because we don't want to take the time to do things and learn how to do things. We're just lazy. We're a lazy set of people. When did we become so lazy? I mean, we were builders and everything else. How did we become so lazy?
When did the standard for black women, I see you want to come in, Elder Zahab. When did the standard of a woman become being bad and bougie? That was never the standard for our women. That was never the standard. Who gave a damn if you was bad and bougie, if you was useless? Otherwise, because after a while, that animal attraction to a woman that's bad and bougie with the big behind and the big boy, that fades after a while, becomes old. If you're a man, let's keep it real. Men, you know that. After a while, it doesn't matter how bad she is, after a while, you get tired of it, period. So what else does the woman have to offer? That's the question. Go ahead, Elder Zahab, you want to say something?
Nah, man, I think we should address the woman, man, the elder woman, because if you don't teach your daughter, man, your daughter's gonna grow up in your same footsteps of how you were, and then the men gonna have to marry your daughter who's jacked up, man, and that's gonna cause problems. You understand what I'm saying? Like what you were saying, Dan. If she don't know how to cook, all right, it's fine. Everybody can be taught. You dig what I'm saying? It's not even so much that. But with the mentality, these women have to teach their daughters about respect for men. These women have to teach their daughters about just in general how to be a young woman so she could be a wife to her husband, man. Because what's left if the mother's running the streets and made mistakes, which, all right, we can't hold that against you. But sister, you got to repent and you got to think about the kids. Why? Because the daughters are going to follow in your footsteps. So now you're a man, you marry this woman, you're like, what? Why is this woman all jacked up? And then you did some research, you find out, well, shit, excuse my language, like that Juvenile song, she get it from her mama. Now you step back like, whoa. You see what I'm saying? And that just perpetuate the cycle again, man. So these sisters, man, please, if you have young children, especially daughters, we already got on the men, but sisters with the daughters, man, teach the young daughters the right way of growing up, man, because those young daughters is gonna be somebody's wife. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, King.
Let me give a few examples in case, because a lot of these women don't know when we say teach your daughters this or teach your daughters that. A lot of these women don't even know what it is that we're talking about. If you have a young daughter who's 5 years old and she can't even bathe herself properly, she don't even know how, she can't even bathe herself. You're still bathing her, or she don't know that she's supposed to clean her ear out, wash her little vajayjay out properly, just proper hygiene, okay? Your daughters should know how to do these things. That's a part of keeping herself up as she become a woman, okay? And it ain't all about learning how to cook. It's learning, what are you cooking? What are you cooking? All right? So how does she stay healthy with the food that she's cooking? Okay? I mean, there's so many things that our women, and I'm talking about our elder women, should be teaching their, not just your daughter, but granddaughter. When I was growing up, the older woman teach the community, the younger woman in the community, not just their own child, but everybody. We learn from the elders, okay? How to plant a garden, even if it's just one pot in the back, okay? Because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we don't have any garden. Well, there's pots at Home Depot. Put some pots on your windowsill and plant some herbs in there. Like, come on. There's so many things that we can do as women. There's no excuse. There's no excuse as, I really have to say this, okay? And I know a lot of women are going to be upset with me, but there is absolutely no reason for a young girl or a grown woman should be going weeks and weeks and weeks without washing their hair. That's proper hygiene. No woman should be going weeks for months without washing your hair. That's not good. That's not healthy. It's not clean. We're talking about cleanliness is next to godliness. How is that godly? You going for weeks, and we're not Hamite. Don't tell me, oh, the Africans over there in Africa, blah, 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 blah. We're not Hamites. That's not us. We're supposed to be clean, keep ourselves clean for our husband, teaching our little girls how to be clean. How is going 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks without washing your hair? How is that clean? That's nasty. So we have to teach our daughters how to be feminine and feminine.
Right. When you're in the kitchen, if you have a daughter, your daughter should be in the kitchen with you.
Mm-hmm.
Kids like stuff like that. I watch. Kids like stuff like that. You're in the kitchen, you're cooking, you're cutting up carrots and whatever you're doing. And again, you give the kid, like, listen, cut this up. They like that. But no, you allow your little daughter to be in the room doing whatever she's doing, being idle, and then she grows up and she can't do nothing.
That was mandatory in my house.
It's mandatory. It should be mandatory.
There's no
But the
choice.
problem is that, it goes back to this generation where the parents want to be friends with their children. I'm not friends with my son. And I remind him that every now and then I got to tell him, I'm your father. He can make up his face. Yeah, that's right. I'm your father. So I'm not your friend. Understand that. We cool. But there's a line. Don't cross it. When I tell you something, understand where I'm coming from. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear just because you want to hear it. You get that from your friends, your boys, whoever like that. I'm not giving you that. I'm going to be real with you. You got to be real with your children. So let me ask a question now to the panel. I'll start off with you, Elder Zahab, and I'll go to Captain McGunn, Captain Sahan, and ask y'all opinion about this, right? Because I've heard this before. Now we're sitting here, we're talking specifically, we already talked about the boys, we're talking about the girls right now, right? A lot of these females that are going to come into the truth, some of them grew up without fathers. So they don't even really know how to even interact with a man or what to look for in a man at all. That's point A. And point B, a lot of times, a lot of these females, they come into the truth, they're not really effeminate. Their spirit is not effeminate because they tell you they always had to do for themselves as a woman. They had to do everything for themselves. So what would you say to a sister that came into the truth that's always been like a go-getter, had to do for herself, whatever like that, when she gets a husband and it's kind of hard for her to kind of humble herself and take on that effeminate role? What do you say to a sister like that? Elder Zahab, I'll start with you. How does she go about doing that? Obviously, the scriptures are the remedy, but how does she go about doing that?
Gun. Well, first thing, she got to have that desire. She want to be humble, and she want to be a good wife to her husband. Once she have that desire, you search the scriptures. The answer will be there. You understand? Everything is right there for our learning and for our edification. But the sister got to want to be humble. She got to understand, like what the Apostle Paul said, man, all things are new in Christ. You understand? When you come into this truth, you have to let go of that spirit. I'm not saying don't be industrious, because in Proverbs 31, it talks about industrious woman. That's not to say you're not supposed to be industrious, make some type of industry or bring money to the household. I'm not saying that. But it's a delicate dance. It's a delicate balance. You have to let the man lead. You understand? And going back to what you mentioned earlier about if a sister was raised without a father, that's hard, and that's becoming more and more typical in our community. But that's the thing, man. When you come into this truth and you being amongst Israelites, you're going to learn that the true value of a man and a father, and you will learn. You understand? We shall be each other's counselors. So if you have the desire to learn, you know, the Lord will send that righteous spirit, man, or whatever congregation you're in. If the elders are worth a damn, they'll see that and they'll start counseling you. Or if your husband is an on-point Israelite, he'll see that. But the thing is, you have to really want to do it, because you can't say, well, you know what, I'm the wife, but I feel as though the husband, he doesn't respect me, and it's all about the man. See, once you harbor those feelings, there's a number of women out there who are teaching, which they're not even supposed to be doing, but there's a number of women out there that will suck you into that spirit, and then you feel as though it becomes a man versus woman thing, just like in the world, and we're supposed to be set apart. So how do we get into this gender war thing? You understand? But to keep it nice and sweet, to answer your question, my brother, they got to want to learn. They got to have the zeal. You understand? And then the Lord will provide the rest. Because what Yahweh Shah tell us, man, you got to have faith, man. You got to have faith. If you don't have faith, then how else shall you believe? So if the sister really want to learn and she got faith, the Most High will send whatever she needs for her to be a whole woman.
Con. Captain McGunn, same question goes to you. All right, we live in a society now where a lot of sisters come into the truth. They didn't have that elder woman, like the scriptures say in Titus 2, to teach them anything. So they're pretty much starting from square one. So what do you say to sisters like that? Like, you know, how would you counsel them?
Well, first of all, I let them know that there are many examples in the nation of Israel, if they're starting from scratch, of many married couples who are examples to being a good example. So don't be afraid to reach out to the married couples. Get to study a couple or a family, you know, in the direction that you're going, if it's the truth, you know, and reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. That's the thing. Our people, they don't work with each other, and they're afraid to reach out to each other because we've been taught to hate each other so much. We're like, nah, I'm not reaching out to that brother. I don't want to see nothing like a thirst ball or somebody that I want to worship them or something, you know, things of that nature. So we're afraid to reach out to each other. So for the sisters that say they don't know how to get a man, they start from scratch, I say reach out to the sisters or brothers, mainly the sisters because they're married, right? And they having a husband, they're keeping their house in order. Reach out to the sisters and learn from the elder sisters, right? Most of us didn't have, or a lot of us didn't have in this truth, people that guided us in this truth, or we was born in the truth. We had to seek out guidance. We had to seek the elders and go to the brothers and say, brother, I don't know this breakdown. I seen you teaching. Can you teach me? Right? And you start building with your nation that way. So, you know, that's what I would tell a sister in terms of a sister that's saying she had to do it all for herself, right? And she has the spirit of, I'm gonna do it all for myself, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do me, whatever. You know, she first has to have the will to unlearn all the things that America has taught her, right? She has to have the will to learn her history, right? Because if she learns her history, her perspective changes to emotional, from emotional to understanding. So a lot of women nowadays, what it is they'll use that as an emotion to have power over the man because, you know, our sister's been broken too through slavery. So that's their reaction because they feel, well, I need to protect myself because there's a lot of men that don't know how to be protective, don't know how to lead the family, don't know how to be a husband. So I have to have my guards up, you know. So a lot of sisters roll like that. So what they have to do is relearn their history and find understanding rather than guard and argument, right? And you know, to seek also elders that can, you know, elder women that's married, to show them the way too, because these are single women we're talking about. So these women that have that kind of spirit, a lot of them are single because they're not molded to be wives yet. They're not molded, or they're not molding themselves to be wives. So I'll say, sisters, reach out, don't hesitate. That's what we're here for. You know, that's what the Nation of Israel is here for. Reach out if you need counseling, if you need help on seeking a man or how to get rid of that masculine spirit. Reach out, right? And that's what it's all about: reaching out and building with each other.
Captain Son, floor is yours, bro.
First thing that I would do with a sister is I gotta let her know what she's getting into, who I am. You know what I'm saying? You know how the scriptures show us. We also have to get back into our traditions of who we are as a people. We have to teach our women the history, like as Magun said. We have to teach them our history, knowing that our women were a certain type of people back in the days, and we have to keep our traditions strong within our community. That would help the women. You know what I'm saying? We also have to have a communal sort of being a wife in a community setting, whereas, you know, the women get together, they learn from each other, and let the elder women show the younger women how to be wives in the household. You know what I'm saying? And to teach them what really makes a man happy in a marriage. They have to learn that from the elder women. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of women don't know what makes a man happy in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. I'm not just saying that, you know, to the women. A man has to know what makes his wife happy also by being the leader of the family. You understand? Because you want to have a happy household. So you don't just want to have your woman resenting you, and then you run into problems later on, you know, and communicate. The husband and the wife have, you know what I'm saying? And it has to be done with all, you know, a humbleness. That's what I got to say. That's how I think. So go into it.
I'm gonna let Sister Malika come in from a female's perspective. Go ahead, sis.
Well, I'm addressing the sisters. From what I've observed from a lot of the young sisters, they have too much pride, and a lot of them don't have that zeal to learn from older sisters. That there's that pride that I don't want to learn anything from you. You can't teach me nothing, you know, that type of attitude. And then you have the elder sisters sometimes who don't have the patience to teach, you know. So the problem is with sisters coming together and throwing away that pride. That pride is what's killing our people. So that's my observance. That's what I have observed with the sisters. Sisters have to get rid of that pride. And I can't help y'all with that. I don't know how y'all gonna do that. Okay, maybe y'all need to have some classes on pride. I don't know. Okay, but you're gonna have to get rid of. If you have sisters who know how to do something, and you don't know how to do it, throw away that pride and go learn something.
Right. The scriptures tell us in the Apocrypha, if you see a wise man wear out his doorsteps, well, it goes for the same thing with a wise woman. If you see a woman with a lot of skills, you're a young sister, you don't have those skills, you should wear out their doorstep. Like constantly ask.
Like I said earlier, I used to watch men bring their sons to where they're doing construction, and they would be there with their son, watching and having their son learn how to use their hands. They would leave their son with the elders, and the elders would teach those boys how to do things. Okay, we used to have the same thing in our household. So throw away the pride, sisters. Throw away the pride, and go to, if you don't have it, go to another sister's house, call her up, talk to her. If she knows how to do something that you don't know how to do, call her up, talk to her, learn something. You don't know how to cook? There's plenty of sisters out there that can cook. Get rid of the pride. That's all I'm going to say. Just get rid of the pride.
Let's go to the scriptures real quick, because I want to end with this. Because most sisters in Israel claim to be this. So let's read what this is. This is the book of Proverbs 31. The majority of sisters in Israel will tell you that there are Proverbs 31 women. If you were to ask them, well, why are you a Proverbs 31 woman, sister? She's going to tell you because she wears a head wrap, she has a dress that's below her knees, and she listens to her husband. That's not what a Proverbs 31 woman was. We're going to read what it was. And this goes back to what we're talking about as far as the older generation passing things down to the younger generation. This all ties hand in hand together. This is the book of Proverbs 31, verse 1. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. So this is a son whose mother told him this about a woman. All right. Verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is above rubies? Meaning you can't put a price on a woman that's a virtuous woman. Let's see if it's talking about a woman that wears a head wrap and a long dress. Let's see if that's what it was. Verse 11. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Watch this. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. This has nothing to do with wearing a long headdress. This is something that's a skill that you have. Most likely you got it from your mom or your grandmother. It was passed down to you. We read that in Proverbs before about the inheritance that's passed down. This is an inheritance. To be able to teach her. When's the last time you found or saw a female? I remember coming up, a lot of females used to crochet a lot. Or knit. They used to do knitting. How many females a day nowadays you see that know how to do knitting and crocheting? You see Becky doing it all the time. But our daughters don't learn that. You go on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and social media, our daughters are being taught how to twerk. That's what they're being taught how to do. Verse 13 again. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. What is this woman? A Proverbs 31 woman is industrious. She has skills. Verse 14, she is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. Verse 15, she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. Where's the head wrap and the long dress in this? This is not what this is talking about. Verse 16, she considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hand she planteth a vineyard. Planting. Yes, sir. A lot of our foremothers knew about planting gardens and plants, so forth and so on, like Sister Malika said. Even if you live someplace where you can't actually plant, you don't have a backyard, you might live in an apartment, you can go to Home Depot. They have the plants and stuff outside. You can go to Walmart if you live there. They have the plants outside. You can buy plants and put it in your house and grow herbs in your house. And grow certain things so you don't have to go out and buy it from the store. You can do these things if you want to. That's a Proverbs 31 woman. But these things are not passed down. Our daughters don't know these things because their mom didn't know it. Because her mom didn't pass it down. We've lost these things. Because now we're taught the measure of a woman is how big her behind is, how big her boobs is. You know what I'm saying? What she will do with you in the bedroom, how she looks, how she dresses. We're taught that's the measure of a woman. Of course, men are attracted to those things, obviously. Men are visual beings. We are attracted to those things. But a man is going to stay attracted to a woman that has those things and these things. And a lot of women that have those things do not have these things because it's not passed down from the mother. You see what I'm saying? You ever listen to that song, man? A lot of y'all, you know, into the hip hop thing. You listen to that song that Jay-Z had called Girls, 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 right? He spoke about that woman that was always on the scene. And her clothes, she looked mean and she had the best shoes and this and that, but she had no other skills than that. You have certain types of women that are like that because she get that from her mom, or her mother didn't teach her nothing, or her mother wasn't around. You see what I'm saying? Or her father wasn't around. So she was taught what? That in order to get a man, I got to look like this. I got to dress like this. I got to wear this. I have to have this pocketbook. I got to do my hair this way. And I'm going to get that man. You're going to get that man. You're going to get him. He's definitely going to want to do something with you. And after he gets bored, and he's going to get bored, doesn't matter how fine you are. After a while, he's going to get bored, and he's going to go on and move on to the next woman. Somebody said something years ago about Halle Berry. Halle Berry was supposed to be this beautiful black woman. This beautiful black woman. She was the standard. Everybody wanted to look like Halle Berry. Don't y'all know that every man that Halle Berry has been with has slept with another woman behind her back? Y'all do know that, right? So it has nothing to do with how you look. Like it says in verse 10, who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is above rubies. A woman that actually can do something with herself and for her household. You can't measure that. And it's never too late to start. Because some of us wasn't raised with those things. Like I said, I wasn't raised with my parents, really. So certain things and skills that I may have, whatever like that, I had to teach myself. Thankfully, when I came into this truth as a young man, I was around the elders a lot. So me being around the elders a lot, I picked up certain things as a man from the elders that I couldn't pick up from my father because my father died when I was 12. So I picked it up from them. And I learned certain things about being a man from them. Maybe not the technical stuff like the fixing this, fixing that. These are things I'm still learning. How to do a fire, this, that, and I didn't learn that from them, but certain other things I learned from the elders. I learned that from them. I watched them, how they moved. All right. And the same thing goes with the women. Let's continue on then, if you wanted to say something. Real quick, let me just finish this. Verse 16 again, she considereth a field and buyeth it with the fruits of her hand. She planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hand to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. A spindle is dealing with what? Sewing? Mm-hmm. It's dealing with sewing. Mm-hmm. Embroidery. When you read about Dorcas in the New Testament in the book of Acts, Dorcas was she was the tailor for the apostles. She made their garments. She had them go out there looking good. And so when she passed away, right, the apostles was crying because she was very valuable to them. Hopefully y'all know about that scripture. If not, you know what I'm saying, we can go back to that. Let me just finish this real quick. I'll let you come in and I'm gonna find that scripture. Verse 20, she stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry so she can make her own clothes. Mm-hmm. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth amongst the elders of the lands. Brothers is talking to him like, your wife is bad, man. Not bad and she's bad because of how she looked. She's bad because she got skills. Mm-hmm. So that Proverbs 31 woman is an industrious woman. Not about how it's not about how you look. It's not about how long your dress is. It's not about how long your fringes are or how nice you can tie a head wrap in about 50 different styles. It has nothing to do with that. It has about being industrious. And the problem is that the elder women are not passing these things down to their daughters like the elder men are not teaching their sons anything. That's the problem in our nation right now. We're talking about building a nation. This is part of building a nation. This is it. Let's continue. Verse 24. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. So she has her own business. She takes care of her household. And while she's home, you have sisters that are at home. You have sisters that are stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home wives that have skills, right? And they take care of the household, yes, but that's all that they do. This sister take care of her household and she got skills. So while she's home, after the household work is done and everything, she's making fine linen so that she can sell. Right. She's making girdles that she can sell. to help her husband. If your husband is out there working a 9-to-5 job and you not, why are you not helping? The scriptures never told you you have to help your husband pay for the household. It never told you that. But this sister understands that. A lot of our sisters don't understand that. Because in this society, I'll let you come in.
See, 16 right there says she consider it a field and she buy it.
How does she buy it? With her money.
That's because of the things that she's doing.
Because of the stuff that she's doing. Exactly.
So she's not just in the house. She's out there making money. She's making doing things for people.
Right. Verse 20. Verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom. So when she speaks, it's wisdom coming out. And in her tongue is the law of kindness, not on social media talking smack and garbage and minding everybody else's business and being a busybody. You're not a busybody. You're not a Proverbs 31 woman if you're doing that, no matter how long your dress is. But again, this has to come from the elder women. And I see elder women on Facebook doing this. That's why the younger sisters are doing it. All right, let's continue on. She seeketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. So she's not idle. A Proverbs 31 woman is not idle. Verse 28, her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain. Because beauty, what does it mean to be vain? There's no profit in a woman being. What does vain mean? Vain means worthless. No value. Beauty is vain. Yes, a man is always going to be attracted to your beauty, of course. But it is worthless if that's all you have. That man's going to get tired of you after a while. So if your mama told you that you just need to go out and find you a man because you got a big behind, and you go out and you find you a man and find you a baller and stuff like that, she did you a disservice, because that's vain. After a while, a man's going to get tired of that. Verse 30 again, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Moral of the story, we read about the Proverbs 31 woman. Where is the head wrap in here? Where's the long dress and the long fringes in here? That is a part of it, but that's not a Proverbs 31 woman. If you don't have these skills, you're not a Proverbs 31 woman. Doesn't mean that you can't be, but it's a goal. The same way, listen good, sisters, the same way in the New Testament, the Bible says that a man should desire to prophesy. And if a man desires the office of a bishop, meaning it should be something a man should attain to be a priest of the Most High. To be a teacher of the Most High is an office that an Israelite man should attain to if he doesn't have it. And as a sister, if you're not a Proverbs 31 woman, meaning you're not industrious, it is something that you should attain to and strive to. And you put the two together, and that's how you have a profitable marriage. And then our marriages will start staying together longer. And you won't have this high divorce rate that I see, not even in the world, amongst Israelites that are known in the Israelites. A high divorce rate. It's a damn shame. You want to come in, sis? Go ahead.
Now, I'm going to say something to the sisters. Sisters, let me say this to y'all, right? If you have a husband and your husband is not home in a disaster strike, right? Your husband may be at work or he's somewhere else. And there's a disaster. I don't know, maybe a flood or a hurricane or light, electricity go out, whatever it is, snowstorm, and you find yourself home alone with the children, whatever, right? You're going to have to be the type of woman that knows what to do because hubby is not home. What you going to do? What you going to do? So you're going to have to be the type of woman to know what to do in case of an emergency. God forbid your husband is not home to help you because he's out. He got stuck at work and now you're in a state of emergency or whatever it is. We have to be that type of woman, okay? Because we're in Babylon. We're not home. So we're going to have to be the type of woman. A few months ago, we had a huge snowstorm here, right? A huge snowstorm, and we didn't have electricity for a couple of days, right? My husband was at work. I had to make dinner because, we just moved here recently. we're out of electricity. We have no heat at all. Life goes on. We have to eat. What do? I had to know what to do. I had to know what to do. Where are we gonna go? There's no every place is shut down. Even the Wawa was shut down the block. There's nothing to eat. There's nowhere to go. So what do? You got to make things happen. Y'all see what I did? I think I posted that on
you
some
built
of
a
y'all.
fire.
What I did. Now it was about 6 inch. How many inches of snow?
It was like at least.
There was way more than.
It was at least
quite
like
a few
8 to 10 inches of snow outside because it kept snowing here all winter. And she built a fire outside. When I came home from work, she was cooking stew chicken outside on the fire. And I was like, damn. Not to be funny, but that's real stuff because there's going to come a time where there ain't going to be no electricity.
We didn't have no electricity in the house and we had to eat. We had to eat. We wasn't about to go get no canned food and all that nonsense. We had food in the fridge that was going to go bad anyway. So life goes on. And I wanted my husband to be able to come home to some food. And so, it's going to get dark and there's no electricity. So right in front of my front door, and set up a fire right there. I went into the backyard.
That's what's up. Sister, they need to teach that to all the sisters listening, man. Real talk.
I have some wood from my backyard. I mean, granted, these woods are wet. These are wet wood because there's 8 to 10 inches of snow in the backyard. And I grabbed some wood, okay, and I made it work. I went inside and got myself some.
More important than you telling the story of what you did, how did you learn that? You learned that from your foreparents because it was passed down. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm not ashamed to tell y'all. I was raised in the city. I could not go to the backyard and get some wood and start a fire. I could not, but she could. That's what Proverbs 31 is talking about. Not for a woman to sit on her behind and wait and come home and be like, now what are we gonna do? Yeah. That's not a Proverbs 31 woman.
I wasn't raised like that.
What's my job? My job as the head of the household is to do what? We had lights in our house. You know why? Because I go to the 99-cent store, the Walmart, stuff like that, and I prepare for a disaster. So we had a light in the house, even though we had no electricity. You go and you buy those little 99-cent, $2 lights that you stick on the wall, you press it, the light comes on. You see what I'm saying? We have kerosene oil, lamps, flashlights, everything. That's what I did. I didn't know that there was going to be electricity out there. I didn't know that. But as the man of the house, I told her, since I met her, I said, I always have an emergency bin in case of an emergency because I've been in blackouts before. I've been without electricity for days before. So I'm not going to wait till this thing happens to be running around saying, woe is me. What I'm going to do, I can't see. I'm bumping into the daggone wall. So we were prepared inside the house for that. Yeah. And then she had the skill to go outside and to cook so we didn't starve and we didn't lose the food that was in the fridge. You see what I'm saying? That's what the scriptures is talking about. These things are passed down.
Now, let me offer my service to the sisters. If y'all need to learn how to build a fire outside and cook some food on the outside, you are free to come to my house, or you are free to come. This year, I'm going to try and set up a camp trip. I was talking to the sisters about it. I'm going to try and set up a camping trip, okay? And for those of you sisters who want to learn the basics, because me personally, I call these things a basic. These are just basic things for me where you can, where you find yourself in a situation and you got to build a fire and cook something outside.
Listen, let me just say this, right? Because you know what I'm saying? Sometimes brothers say we don't appreciate our sisters and everything. Lions of Israel, we appreciate the sisters. And I'm sure Elder Zab, Captain Ton, and Captain McGunn can agree. When we had the Feast of Tabernacle, right? Who put the tents together in the dark? It was the sister from Jersey. It was a sister from Jersey and her. They was putting the tents together in the dark. You know what I'm saying? It was the sisters that was going around. Y'all were going around from one. Let's go. When everybody's
Dan, why you blowing up spots on the brothers, man? You blowing up spots on brothers because we all city dwellers, but that's the truth, though.
But it's the truth, and that goes into. I'm gonna let you come in, Captain. It's the truth. We're not. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes as men, we have to blow ourselves up because listen, the medicine goes all the way around the nation, right? What Tabernacle shows us, if we being real, is where we're falling short. And if we're falling short Our children are falling short because if we as brothers, as elders, you and me, Zahab, as elders, McGunn and Tahun as captains, if we can't build a fire, guess what about your son? Guess what? Your son can't build a fire either because you don't know how to build a fire. Keep it real. You know what I'm saying?
God.
So what we gonna do? We're gonna bring their behinds on a camping trip. We're gonna have them stand around. We're gonna teach them how to build a goodness gracious fire, how to put a tent together and everything like that. The little basic stuff that we need to pass down to our children. In other words, all that stuff goes into what we're talking about, working with your hands. Yeah. And ain't nothing wrong for your daughter to stand around and learn how to do it too.
And
real talk.
You guys should use our situation as an example. And even if you live in a city, let me say this, even if you live in a city in an apartment, right? Me, personally, I think you should always be prepared. When I was in the city and living in an apartment, I still had kerosene oil and lamp in my house, okay? I still have those things in my house. If you live in a city and in an apartment complex and you had a blackout, right? A blackout, here's what you can do. You should always have at least one pile of wood. They sell them at Home Depot. Okay, one pile of wood somewhere in your house where you can go right out in the courtyard. Is that what they call it? The courtyard, yeah. Right? And you build a fire right there and cook your food right there. Okay, trust me, it's not hard. It's not hard. Lights go out for a couple of days. You have no lights. You have no electricity. Grab some charcoal or some woods. Run to Home Depot and grab a couple thing of wood and keep them in your house and go right outside and build a fire right there on the ground and cook some food. It ain't that serious.
Even a grill, like everybody knows, most people know how to grill. You grill in the summertime. Right. You do a cookout. You have a grill in your house. You have a blackout. You just go. You buy. Most people in an apartment building might not own a grill. But I mean, even a little grill you can buy for $10, $15 from a 99-cent store. Every Israelite should have one of those. Just keep it. You know what I'm saying? Something happens, a blackout, and you could go and you could cook. Your wife can go and she could cook for you. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? But we have to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? These are things that are passed down. Like you don't wait for a natural disaster to happen. You teach your children that too. You don't wait for a natural disaster to happen for you to be like, okay, now what we're gonna do? That's not a Proverbs 31 woman. If you as the man, you're busy, because we're the teachers, we're the prophets of the Lord, so we're out doing the work. You know what I'm saying? The reason why a lot of people don't understand that, you know, and I tell my wife this all the time, I'm not ashamed to say it in public. The reason why I'm able to do what I do as far as teaching and PowerPoints and holding this channel, holding that channel down, because she have a lot of skills that she holds everything down and she don't get the praise for it. You see, people's like, oh, brother, I saw your PowerPoint. I saw you did this. I saw you did that. Thank you. Thank you for breaking this down. Thank you for breaking that down. Well, I only have time because of what she does. You see what I'm saying? And that's the type of sisters that we all need to be married to. So we have to, even if unfortunately some of us in a relationship where we don't have that, you know what I'm saying? We need to be still enforcing these things in our nation so that our daughters, and not even your daughter physically, but maybe another brother that has a daughter, whatever, that they have the skills so that some man can benefit from that in the future. Because as priests, we're not going to have time. If you're really about this work, you're not going to have time to do a whole lot of other stuff, because the more that you put yourself out here with the teachings is the more people that's going to be in your inbox. Yeah, I got so many people in my inbox that I can't get back to everybody. You know, I have so many lessons on back order that people are asking me to do. I can't get to do them all. You see what I'm saying? If I had to do everything else, I'd be really messed up in the game. So that's why the Most High speaks about that Proverbs 31 woman. It's an aspirational goal for every single sister that should have some skills. And I think just looking at our camp Lines of Israel, when I scan across the, you know what I'm saying, Elder Kazak's wife, Sister Shumaka, has a lot of skills. She has a lot of different talents and stuff like that. Sister Alma Warner, Captain McGunn's wife, has a lot of skills. You see what I'm saying? So we as Israelite men, you know, we have to cultivate these things. If we see sisters that have skills amongst the nation, we need to cultivate that real quick. Captain McGunn, I know you want to say something. So go ahead and say something, because I want to show something real quick. Go ahead and say what you want to say.
No, I'll be quick. I wanted to say that it's definitely important to learn the skill, man, because it might seem small to people, but it's big when you end up like me in my first tabernacle, man. I ended up asking the brother if there was a pizza shop. You know what I'm saying? I was starving. So I asked the brother if there's a pizza shop at the tabernacle. He was like, he said, nah, brother. Sorry, man. We in the wilderness right now, brother. I said, damn. So, you know, it's important, man, to learn that skill, man. It takes you a long way, especially like what brothers are bringing out and the sisters bringing out in terms of blackouts and things like that. It's important to learn survival skills to, you know, so you can hold your own. And that's what the Most High is talking about when he says that you shall be safe from all these things when it comes. When you're prepared and you take heed to wisdom and what the Most High tells you, which is to prepare, then, you know, the Most High protects you from these things because you use the wisdom. So that's what I wanted to say on that.
Hey Dan, going into to learning survival skills, you don't always have to plan like a huge you know camping trip, and we could do that you know on a Sunday, go hiking, you know, brothers that or sisters that have any skills that they want to teach other brothers or sisters, we can do that on a regular basis. I just want to throw that out there.
Real quick, let me just share my screen. I want to read the scripture real quick because we speak about a Proverbs 31 woman. Let's get an example of one in the scriptures. One of our foremothers, her name was Dorcas. This is the book of Acts chapter 9, and we're going to start from verse 36. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha. Wait a minute. So you had disciples that were women too? Yeah, you did. They wasn't teaching the way that the men were teaching, but they were disciples in their own right because they was doing the work. They were Proverbs 31 women. So they were described as disciples too. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms deeds, which she did. So she did a lot of good works for the apostles and gave them alms too. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in the upper chamber. Verse 38, for as much as Lydda was nigh to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come. Then Peter arose and went with them. And when he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and the widows stood by him weeping and showing the coats and the garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. So she was using a spindle. We just read that in Proverbs 31. She was a Proverbs 31 woman. She was skilled with the spindle. She was making them garments. Verse 40, but Peter put them all forth and kneeled down and prayed, and turning him to the body said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up, and he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive, and it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days with one Simon, a tanner. So this was a sister that was a Proverbs 31 woman. This is one of our foremothers. So when we're thinking about these things, where do you think she got the skill of being able to make garments from? Most likely, it was passed down from generation to generation, because that's what we did as Israelites, and that's what we're missing. And that's the point that we're trying to get across to our people. You want to say something?
No, I was going to say what the brother was saying earlier, that sister, I think one of the brothers was saying, sister, we need to have something where we all could come together and learn from each other, you know. So I was speaking to a few of the sisters in our camp about a camping trip that I wanted to plan this summer, and I would love for a lot of our brothers and sisters to just come out and go camping. And it would be nice if we go somewhere where we can fish. Okay, because that's another skill. My dad had many trades, and one of the trade he was a fisherman. He owned a few boats at sea, and he was a fisherman. And so my 2 older brothers became fishermen because my dad was a fisherman. You know, we're talking about eating healthy, and you know, fishing, that's a trade, right?
So it's big money.
We could look into how somebody from this camp can go. I mean, I'm just saying, but we can all learn. There are places here where you can go and actually fish. Maybe you'd have to pay a couple of dollars, but there's places. I'm not talking about where we live. I'm just saying in general, there are places where we can go and fish. We could pay a couple of dollars and go there and bring our fishing tool and go fish, and we bring home fishes for our family.
If I could just say this real quick, you know what I'm saying? I always say this because it pisses me off. Like, as Israelites, you go on social media, all we do is we argue. So I call Israel argue-lites. If Israel came together in some respect and we put different people in different positions, you send some sisters to school or through the course of becoming midwives. You send some other young brothers through the courses of becoming plumbers, electricians, and auto mechanics. You know what I'm saying? We send some brothers out to become fishermen. We put some brothers and sisters through the course to become morticians, whatever like that. If we did things like this, now we're talking about having a nation for real. Mm-hmm. Now we're talking about having a nation for real. We don't have to call outside to get anybody to come in and do anything for us because we have that within our nation. And it may not even be within your camp. It might be in another camp. But we have a good enough relationship amongst the camps where, you know what, if they're not in Lines of Israel, they're in AOC, I'll call them up. They're not in AOC, they're in I Am Israel, I'll call them up. I'm like, listen, I need somebody that does A, B, C, and D. That's what we need to do. That's when we're really getting into building a nation. We don't have to wait for the Most High to come back to do these things. Let's be real. Like I told y'all last night on our camp live stream, we got to stop being so religious, man. I know you say I'm not religious, I'm an Israelite, that's my nationality. But the way Israel operates, the way that we operate as Israelites, the majority of Israelites, the way you operate, you are religious. You are. You're waiting for the Most High to stretch a long black arm with a magic wand out the sky to make you better when you could just take some herbs. What's going on with you ain't that serious. You have high blood pressure. That could be fixed. You fix your diet. We should have brothers and sisters that are going through the different courses or whatever like that to become herbalists if that's their interest. That's going to service the nation. Go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? If there's somebody in this camp who's suffering from an illness, y'all don't have an excuse, okay? Because y'all know what I do. Y'all know what I do. Y'all know, you know, my husband and I, we're very well familiar with Master Herbalist Patrick Dell. If you are in this camp or affiliated with this camp and you're suffering from diabetes, hypertension, or any type of reproductive issues or any type of issue, and y'all are not reaching out to me or somebody close to us, I don't know. What's your excuse? You waiting to be diagnosed with something? What's the problem? And this is my point about us not coming together as a family and reaching out. Okay, it's just all talk. We need to start doing.
When we saw Patrick's son, what did he say? We asked Patrick's son, what does he want to do? He said he wants to be an herbalist like his father. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. When we went to Grenada, we met Patrick's children, and his son was like, he wants to be an herbalist like his father because he sees the impact that his father is having on his community. So that's that communal passing down things from the father to the son. Now, I'm not saying that in every single case, your son is going to want to do exactly what you're doing. It may not interest him, especially if you have multiple children. Let's say you have 3 or 4 sons, and you are a herbalist. And all 3 or 4 of your sons is not going to want to be herbalists, but one of them could be a herbalist. One of them could be an electrician. One of them could be a farmer. One of them could be a plumber, or one of them could be a mechanic, whatever it is. Like you give it, and now you have all that in your house. Mm-hmm. As a father, damn, I got to call Johnny because my car broke down. Oh, I got to call Billy because my air conditioner is not working. Oh, I got to call this one for that. You see what I'm saying? And you push your daughters also into certain things as well because they can be industrious, man.
And
buy your little daughter a daggone sewing machine. Shout out to the brother Danyaahla, man. You know what I'm saying? I saw the work that his daughter is doing. You know, she's sitting there sewing a young girl. Yes. She's not even 8. I think she's like 16 or 17. And he got her sewing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And her stuff is looking good. But he put, you know what I'm saying? He went out, he saw she had a little bit of an interest. She sewed some fringes on his garment. He went out and bought her a sewing machine. And she's doing her thing. You see what I'm saying? And she's going to pass that down to her daughter when her daughter grows, you know what I'm saying? When she has children and her daughter grows up. That's what we need. Passover time, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, this goes maybe for our camp. We're scrambling around trying to get garments for the whole camp because there's too many brothers And is one brother that does sewing, and he's complaining because there's too many garments to make and too many girdles and too many armbands. That's an indictment on us as Israelites. Why is there only 3, 4, 5 brothers doing garments? As many Israelites as I see, there's only 3 or 4 or 5 brothers doing garments, and everybody's running to that man the same time of year every year, and he's overwhelmed. You see what I'm saying? We should be passing these things down on to our children. We shouldn't be having to go nowhere else. Talking about I'm gonna go to Moab and have him sew some fringes on my garment. That makes us as Israelites look bad. What are we doing? Just because you as a mother may not have that skill, put your daughter in a program. That's what she was showing before. There's programs out there in every state. Put your daughter in a program and have her learn a skill. Embroidery, whatever like that. There's big money in that stuff. If there was somebody in our camp alone, just our camp, Lions of Israel, that did sewing, that made garments, they would make a killing. The woman probably wouldn't have to work because there's always some work to be done.
And that's what I was gonna say. You know, if you learn skills, you'd be surprised how much money you make. I mean, not make. How much money you save from having to go out and pay Esau and these other nations to come in and fix your toilet, fix your sink, fix, you know, something broken in your home. You having to pay for everything because you don't have the skills to do it yourself. I don't ever remember ever growing up and having somebody come to our house to fix anything because my uncle is a jack of all trades. He's a builder. That's what he does. He builds stuff. He builds the stable for the horses. We have an outhouse. He built that. Well, that was a family effort, but we all help him to build this outhouse. I mean, the house he's living in right now, he built it. He's a builder. So my point is, if we have each household where somebody is able to do something, we wouldn't have to be going out here and paying all these people to come in and fix some type of electrical problem that you might be having in your apartment or your house or whatever it is. Just call a brother or a sister. Let them come over and do it.
Nagas Footwear, I saw your comment, Lord. We'll definitely get you some information about the high blood pressure. We'll definitely get you some information about that. I've been wanting to holler at you anyway, so we'll definitely get you some information about that. But you know, that's really important, family. You know what I'm saying? These things are really important. If we're talking about building a nation and stuff like that, the essence of a nation is a family. When our nation started off as a family and blossomed into a nation. So it starts as a family, then it's a neighborhood. From a neighborhood, you have a community. From a community, you have a city. From a city, you have a nation, man. That's the way it goes. And when you have a nation, you have needs across the board. We have a group on Facebook that nobody really pays much attention to. It's called the Israelite Networking Yellow Pages. Most of y'all have never heard of it. We created that group like 2 years ago, and we was trying to encourage brothers and sisters to go into the group. If you have a business or whatever like that, or if you're looking for something, go in the group and see who does what, and try to keep the money within the community for a little while. Like, don't just as soon as you get your paycheck, you put the money out the community because there's nobody in the community that has that particular skill. You see what I'm saying? That's what's wrong. And again, that's why we named the show what we named it, because we're not teaching our children to have these skills. So unfortunately, we have to go outside. Look, man, they took everything away from our children. When I was in high school, and I know Elder Zaha, we went to the same high school, so he knows what I'm talking about. They had an automotive program in high school. I absolutely lament every single day of my life. I absolutely lament that I was not given the opportunity to take the automotive program when I was in high school, because had I done that, that's what I would have been doing. But I was being pushed down the path by people to go to college. So that's what I did. And I went for 2 years and realized that I couldn't keep a roof over my head by going to college because I had to get a job. So I had to wind up going to get a BS job. And it didn't dawn on me until years later that, you know what, this is something that I could have did, but now I have to pay out of pocket to go to automotive school when it was being given away in school for free. They also had the masonry thing in school as well, carpentry in school, being given away to children. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't take that stuff. It wasn't my guidance counselor. I blame her. She didn't push me in that direction. She pushed me to go to college because my parents wasn't there. So I was listening to my guidance counselor, and she pushed me to go to college. And that was the worst thing ever because I wasn't into school like that. I really got into studies when I woke up and learned knowledge of self. That's when I got into studies, because when I was learning in school, when I thought everybody was white and everything, I wasn't interested in school. I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. You know, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I didn't give a damn about school. I was the king of cutting classes in high school. I was in every lunch period, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, every lunch period I was there, walking around. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
So,
Dan,
huh? Go ahead, Lord.
what I want to bring out, what you touched on, the guidance counselor, they don't give a damn about us, especially these teachers. A lot of these teachers in the inner cities, I mean, we went to Mount Vernon, so it's a lot of Edomite teachers. You have black teachers who cared about us. Shout out to the assistant principal Smith. That was a good lady, man. I don't know where she is now, but that was a good lady. And Professor Sproul, you had some black teachers who cared about us, but majority of the teachers is Edomites. They don't give a damn about you or your children. I'm saying this to say that if you have a child who's in high school, don't rely on them guidance counselors or them teachers, man. Because how many times you go on the internet and you see, even on the news, where you got teachers who's a member of the KKK, they vote for Trump, they racist, they calling your children all type of names, they purposely holding back black boys and girls, putting them in special ed, all type of stuff, man. So we got to be our own guidance counselors, man. Because when you said that, that sparked something I was thinking about. I was like, yo, my guidance counselor, she never recommended that either. We should have all been in trade school. And now guess what? They took out all that stuff. Ain't no more automotive, plumbing, all that. All that is a wrap. They took all that out. So I just wanted to touch on that, man.
No, you 100%. You took the words right out of my mouth, because that's where I was going with it. All that stuff is not in the schools anymore. When we were coming up, we had access to it. Now they don't. So what now? Now we have to steer our children to go and try to get into these programs. And like she brought out, if you really do some research as a parent, there are programs out there to get our children into these trades. Don't make it be because you didn't do it, you didn't think about it till it was too late. Put your children, man, in those programs, man, to have them come out. Even if your child is going to college, let's just say you want them to go to college, whatever, they should still have a trade. They should still have something to fall back on, just in case. Because there's no guarantee that after you leave college that you're going to be in the field that you went to school for. There's no guarantees for that whatsoever. We all know that. And it's funny that we say the word guidance counselor. We should call them no guidance counselors, because judging by what's going on with our children, they're not getting no guidance from these people in these schools at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Ephraim, Captain McGunn, if you want to come in and say anything real quick.
Yeah, you know, I'll say this too, man. I'll tell the people, when you do get an opportunity, don't burn your bridges. You know, because sometimes our people, they burn their bridges. They get opportunities, they you know, and they let it go. They burn their bridges, they make a dumb decision, right? And that opportunity don't come to like maybe 5 years down the line, right? So whenever you get opportunity, make sure you grab it and do the best you can with it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, just think about yourself, think about your family, think about your loved ones, and, you know, taking care of them. So that should be your motivation. It should be your motivation to always elevate yourself, not only spiritually, but also economically, as much as you can in captivity. So.
Right, kind of, you know, and that's what it's about. So, you know, we're definitely going to, y'all know that we have the channel Maccabeestv too, which I haven't really been doing a lot with. You know, I've been sitting down thinking about what am I going to do with that channel. And I'm really thinking, and I know it's not popular because right now we live in a social media age. We live in the reality TV age where everybody just wants shock value entertainment. And so I know that if I do videos on another channel where we're actually showing y'all practical stuff, not the brothers and sisters that's on now, but the average person, it's not really entertaining. Like, nobody really wants to see that. You want to see the drama. The highest rated video I had in the last month was when we did the whole thing about the RBG, because brothers didn't agree. So the minute there's a disagreement, now everybody wants to watch the show. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And they want to take a side. And there's room for that. There's room for debates and disagreements and all that. There's room for that. But the reason why we're doing a show like this is because if we're being practical, if we're being honest, we're talking about building a nation, and we don't have what it takes to build a nation right now as Israelites. We don't. And even, I'm gonna let you come in, and even not even just Israelites. Let's just say that you're not an Israelite, you're watching this. Let's just say you're conscious. Let's say you're into Kemet, or you're a Muslim, whatever like that. In those communities, they don't have the skills to build a nation either. You can't recreate the pyramids right now. You wouldn't know where to begin. You can't even build a shed in your backyard, like she said. You wouldn't even know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? You go out to Home Depot or Walmart and buy something with the instructions in it and can't put it together. I'm laughing because that happened to me a few times. I done bought something, I'm sitting and look at the instructions like, yo, what the heck is this? You know what I'm saying? And the instructions is right there. And I'm like, nah, it's saying this, but I don't, you know what I'm saying? And that's just real talk. Because we're raised in a city and we're not raised to do these things. You should need an instruction manual. You should need you should be able to know, or somebody, not necessarily you, because everybody has their skill. But I'm saying that there should be somebody in our communities that's able to do all these things. You know, shout out to Officer Yashar at our camp. The brother builds furniture from scratch. That's a gift the Most High gave him. Not this cardboard sawdust furniture that you would buy now that by the time you bring it home and put a couple of pieces of clothes in it, it's falling apart. Like real furniture. That's why real wood furniture costs a lot of money, because there's a lot of time and effort and craftsmanship that goes into that. That's lost. You see what I'm saying? And I'm hoping that that brother is able to teach that to his children, or else it's going to be lost forever. You know? So with that, man, we're about to end the live stream. I do want to say this. I'm going to let Sister Malika come in because she has something to say. Family, if you're watching the live stream right now, number one, make sure y'all like the live stream. All right? That's number one. Number two, make sure that if you want to reach out to Lions of Israel, our phone number is 877-53-LIONS. 877-53-LIONS. Y'all can call us 24 hours a day. One of the captains of the officers will definitely get back to you if you leave a message. If we don't answer, whatever, for any reason, you know what I'm saying, we will definitely get back to you. Visit our website, thelionsofisrael.com. Make sure that y'all definitely visit our website as well. And
Salakia, for any technical difficulties on the website recently, everything should be good right now.
Right, we had some technical difficulties with the website this week, but we've managed to fix those. So definitely, again, thelionsofisrael.com. Our phone number is 877-53-LIONS. If you're a sister and you're not subscribed to Sisters of the Maccabees, because this is Maccabeestv, but we have something for the sisters. If you're not subscribed to the Sisters of the Maccabees channel, then you need to subscribe to that, because she's on there with all those videos over there, and it gets into a lot of these things that we're talking about being a Proverbs 31 woman, about being industrious. We're not asking the sisters to go over there and break scriptures down. That's our job. Our job is to be the priests and the prophets and to break the scriptures down. But she has a channel to show sisters how to be sisters, pursuant to Titus, the 2nd chapter, that speaks about the aged women, teaching the younger sisters how to do certain things, because that's where it's going to come from. I can't teach a woman how to be a woman. I can't teach a woman how to be effeminate. You see what I'm saying? What I can teach a daughter or a woman or a young sister is what to look for in a man by the way I carry myself. Because a lot of our daughters, a lot of our young sisters, they're going to get the type of man that you are as a father. Or if they don't have a father figure or a male figure, that's who they coming home with. So by the way I carry myself, I do that so that the young sisters could go out and try to find a brother that carries himself somewhat like what we do as priests and prophets. That's what I can teach a woman, but I can't teach a woman how to be a woman. And a woman can't teach a woman a man how to be a man. Period. So we need each other. We need to pass these things down. So you want to say anything before we end off?
Not much. I was just saying again that if anybody is interested in another camp trip that's not necessarily about a high holiday, just my family and I usually, I'm talking about my family that are not in this troop. We usually have a camping trip every single year, but I don't really do it with them anymore because they're not in the troop. So I wanted to kind of carry that on. So if there's anybody who is interested in a camp trip, that maybe we can do this, start out maybe, once a year, come together and have a camp trip. It doesn't have to be in the same place every single year. We can do it in different places. Just let me know. Have the sisters call me. Let me know if you guys want to do it. It's just once a year. We can do it once this summer. We can have a camp trip where we all come out and you know, just get together as one family, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I have to say this again, brothers, fathers, seriously, your son should be learning how to use these things, brothers.
Right, before PlayStation,
okay?
before PlayStation, the
This-
Xbox,
okay,
for Christmas, you would buy your son the little fake toy screwdrivers and stuff like that when he was a kid.
Boys need to be playing with. Okay, go to Home Depot. I'm gonna tell you all something again. When I was a little girl, go to home, and we didn't have no Home Depot. Now we go and we chop the wood in the backyard, but I'm not telling nobody go chop some wood now, they might cut themselves. But go to Home Depot, woods are cheap there. Buy some woods, right? And some nails, and teach your sons how to build something, even a little bird house. You know, they got the little bird house, or a little, just whatever it is. Teach your boys how to use these. Introduce them to tools, all right? This is how I'm a girl, and I know every single one of these tools. I have a toolbox here, every single one of them. Your boys should know about tools and know how to use them, seriously. Because, again, you got something going on in your house and you need something to be fixed, you should not have to be calling somebody and paying hundreds of dollars. I heard a sister the other day said that she had something going on with her kitchen sink, and she was about to pay over $200 to somebody to come check it out. And what did she do? Well, she did a little bit of research and she saved herself $200 and something. Okay? She taught herself how to do it. We have to do better as a people. Stop depending on the other nation and stop giving our money to them.
Right. That's what they're going to send out. So once again, phone number is 877-53-LIONS. All right. Channel is Sisters of the Maccabees. If you're not already subscribed, make sure y'all subscribe to that channel as well, and all the Maccabees TV channels. Our website is dlinesofisrael.com. So we're going to pretty much end out on this. By the way, Didi, the Blue Collar Scholar, I see you, brother. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Definitely. Let me just shout out a few more people on the comment boards as well. Anavaka Kahan, shalom to you. Obadiah Yedidia, shalom to you. Right. Oh, yeah. Brian Gordon, you right on time, brother. Awesome. We have a Facebook group called Healthy Hebrews. If you're on Facebook, make sure that you come to our group called Healthy Hebrews. Nothing but health information on there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's, we have lots of people waiting to join that group that we haven't even accepted yet because we have so many people coming to us. But get on that Facebook page, Healthy Hebrews. It's really, really important, man, because health is a big, big issue. I said this last night. And within the past 2 weeks, I've had about 3 people that I found out is suffering from cancer, man. So it's really a big, big issue. So make sure that y'all subscribe to that group. And I'm going to pretty much end it off. I'm going to go around to everybody. Everybody can have a last word, starting with you, Captain Tahan. Is there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
Salaki, I have to put my I just appreciate that you came to do this show, because we definitely need to get our family back, man. We need to be more family orientated. We got to stop letting our children go to these streets, you know what I'm saying? And our women, they need to start humbling themselves to be better wives, you know what I'm saying? And the husbands has to humble themselves also, also have to humble themselves to be better husbands. It's a circle, and we have to all try to come back, search the scriptures, learn how to be family, learn how to worship our power. And that with that, I want to say all praises to Yahweh and his only begotten son's name, Yahweh Shai, and bless all of Israel. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm about to let Ephraimite Begun. You're going to be next, but really quickly, somebody asked me about the other group that we have on Facebook. So we have 2 main groups. One group is called Healthy Hebrews. You go to Facebook, you type in Healthy Hebrews. That's one of the groups that we have on Facebook. The other group is called Israelite Networking Yellow Pages. Some variation of that. If you type it up, it'll come up. Haven't really been doing much in the group because we put it together for Israel, but Israel is not really doing business like that. You know, it's sad. We're not supporting each other. But if you're interested, it's called Israelite Networking Yellow Pages. So with that being said, Captain McGunn, the floor is yours.
Khan, so my last words basically all praise to the Most High and the Son Yahweh. Take what y'all learn from this lesson, take it, apply it, you know, get into skills, get into trading, get into whatever you need to do to get yourself economically, you know, better in life. Also tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, at 2 o'clock, AOC got a cookout. In that cookout, me and Mala'ak will be doing an interview, and we'll be putting together something called Gathering the Northern Kingdom. So basically, we're going to bring out information and historical context and scriptures linking the Hispanics to being Israelites, and just bringing out, you know, primary sources, ancient testimonies, and basically, you know, historical context and curses that applies to Hispanics today and back then. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll update y'all with the information as soon as we start it. So that's what I got to say. Shalom.
Zakaria Ben Israel, shalom to you, Lord. I see you. All praise to the Most High. I'm glad you made it to the live stream. Elder Zahab, the floor is yours.
Kind, all praises to the Most High in the name of Christ, man. Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Mashiach Yahushai. It's always beautiful when, you know, we could come together and, you know, flush out whatever issues is going on within our community. So, you know, I want to bless the Most High and thank him for putting me in the midst of y'all brothers, man. I love Lions of Israel, man. Real talk. The other thing I want to say is that today, if y'all brothers can hear us, whoever's on the live stream, we're observing Feast of First Fruits at sundown in Brooklyn with AOC. It's going to be at, if you give me 1 second, I will give you the address. The address is 312 Montauk Avenue in Brooklyn. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you good. You good, King.
All right. The address is 312 Montauk Avenue, Montauk, in Brooklyn, zip 11208. And that's today. We should start services by 8. If you want to get there by 7, that's good. Brothers, I do recommend, and sisters, I do recommend if you come, you don't show up empty-handed. You know, just bring something as a donation, because it takes money, time, and effort to put, you know, to get a place to rent and so on and so forth so that people could gather. But I want to say that, and yeah, man, let's just all, you know, persevere in this walk, man, because we all laboring for that penny, you know. So just like the elder always said, man, put your brick in, man. Don't be an Israelite on the internet and be an internetite or whatever you want to call them. When you a keyboard warrior. You got to get out there, man. You got to get out there, roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, man. Do something, you know. For all them Israelites out there who want to get at camps, listen, more than likely your elder who is teaching you, or you yourself, you learned from a camp, or brothers who was in a camp structure. So don't start creating confusion. The scriptures talk about people creating confusion, man. What you need to do is find a way how you can help bring brothers together. You understand? And try to go out there and reach and preach to the people, man. So we can wake up the elect and the 1/3 so we could get the hell up out of here. Because I don't know about you. I don't want to stay here forever. You understand? I'm getting older in this kingdom. I don't see nothing changing. Anything is getting worse. Any of y'all want to keep Esau's kingdom going for another 100 years, 50 years, or whatever, you on your own, King. You on your own, right? I want to get up out of here. I'm pretty sure the brothers on this call, they want to get up out of here too. Last thing, I got the spirit for my brothers. I'm going to start doing some show. They're not going to be live. They're going to be pre-recorded. I'm going to put it on my channel, Pick a Side or Else. That's going to be in the future also. And with that, I'm good. Shalom to all Israel. Shalom.
Hey, Zahab, you said something deep right there. You said you're getting old. That was heavy.
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
Me too, bro. I ain't have no grades when I came. I was a teenager. I ain't have no grades when I came into this truth.
Hey, you know, after you did that live stream, I went back and I watched the Sister Malika's video about the flush, and I was like, damn, that information was right there in front of me, and I didn't even, you know what I mean? I didn't utilize it. So that shows you that you could be in the same camp with somebody, you can have the information right there at your fingertips, but if you don't reach out and use it, then it's worthless, man. I felt bad. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go on that flush too, man, because we are getting older, man. You know what I mean? The scriptures talk about us. The most I gotta remember that we're only flesh and blood, man. You know, and the book of Psalms tells us that what? 3 scores, is that right, King? 3 scores and 10?
3 score and 10, if by reason of strength, 4 score.
That's it. Time is running out, man. And knock off that extra 10 that the Lord gave us compared to the GMO food we eat, the filthy air that we breathing in, the vaccinations that our children, you could knock off an extra 10, 15 just off that. So we not promised, man. We gotta get out there and do what we gotta do now.
Right. All right, the water elder, Sister Malika, do you want to say anything before we go?
Yeah, I just want to say, speaking to the sisters, you know, I know you speak to the brothers, I'll leave that to you, but I have to speak to the sisters. We have to do better with our relationships as sisters. We have to learn to come together. Look at these Amish people. They live together as a community. And even if they don't get along, we don't know it because we don't see them out there behaving, you know, certain way with each other. You know, the white people don't wear their dysfunctional family dysfunction on their sleeves. You know, they keep that a secret. We're the only people that wear our dysfunction. Everybody see our dysfunction. And now I'm talking about us and the truth. We have to do better as far as being a family, learning how to come back together as a family. All right. It's the only way that we're going to do any of the stuff that we're talking about, building, you know, we have to come together. If you think you're going to have any type of success as far as being in the truth, if you think you're going to have any type of success just being your own, as the brother says, individualite, you know, just sitting on the sideline, puffed up with your attitude and don't want to learn nothing and don't want to come together with the other sisters and, you know, just sitting there all by yourself and you know, that's not going to work. That's not going to, I don't know what the goal is, but that's not going to work. We have to come together as women. We have to. It's us against everybody else. Becky is coming together with her other Beckys. Okay? Why aren't we coming together? Becky is good. She and her other family is good. We need to come together as Israelite women. We cannot have any dysfunction. If you have a trade, I have a trade, this other sister have a trade, let's all come together and utilize these trade together as a family. Okay, that's the goal here. That's the goal. So that's all I have to say about that.
Khan Israel. So once again, as usual, we appreciate everybody being on the live stream. Join us for the next joint. Most High will. Lines of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. We out.
Maccabeestv showing unity, bringing forth mysteries of Israelite history, showing and proving who we are biblically, exposing false philosophies, keeping the eyes on the prophecies. Maccabeestv showing unity, bringing forth mysteries of Israelite history, showing and proving who we are biblically, exposing false philosophies, keeping the eyes on the prophecies. Children of Israel standing firm, we go hard, proving all things to the spirit of the Most High. Israelites bringing
being light to the truth in the midst of lies, being examples to the youth so we utilize anything we get our hands on to open your eyes. Of course, we get our read on. You can get edified on history, the Israelite mystery discovered through scriptures for many centuries. The proof is evident through the archaeology, old books and testimonies of our ancient family trees. Can't do nothing against the truth, but only for it. The white man said we Africans, we fell for it. The white man said we Hispanics. The fact is, we the real Jews and we the children on this planet. Our people need to wake up, stop the madness. This unification ain't embracing the real mission. Maccabeestv showing unity, bringing forth mysteries of Israelite history, showing and proving who we are biblically, exposing false philosophies, keeping our eyes on the prophecies. Maccabeestv showing unity, bringing forth mysteries of Israelite history, showing and proving who we are biblically, exposing false philosophies, keeping our eyes on the prophecies.